want the Rebbe to look at the base of prayer, the Rebbe reforming, we have the other people of Sibin Liman, the Fotum, the Rebbe, Rabbi Chossi, Rabbi Ruben Bochberg, will give us some insight into the Hillel base of prayer. Also, the role of the Rebbe to give block at the table. Everybody is pushed on the table. Please feel free to put
Shkach. So, Ms. Hashem, this evening I will be attempting to share some insights from the Sir of the Rebbe in Tafshin Nun from Parshas Shmini. The Rebbe spoke about the idea of Shmira in the Beis HaMikdash. So, in Perek Shmini of Halacha Aleph, the Rambam says, Shmiras HaMikdash mitzvah saseh. It's a mitzvah saseh to guard the Mikdash. Ve'af al pi she'ein sham pachad me'oivim ve'lo milistim. Although there's no fear from enemies and from bandits, she'ein shmirase ela kavod lo. The shmira is only for the honor of the Beis HaMikdash. And the Rambam continues, Ein adayme palter in shesh alav shemrim. We cannot compare a palace that has guards, le palterin she'ein alav shemrin, to a palace that does not have guards. So the Rambam clearly highlights that the point of the Shmira is specifically for the kavod, the honor. It's also important to mention that in Halacha Gimel, the Rambam continues and says, Ve'im bitlu Shmira, avru b'lo saseh. If they neglected the Shmira, then they transgress the lo saseh. Shenemar, like it says in the pasuk, ushmartem eis mishmeras hakodesh. And anytime it says the lashon shmira, like the Rambam says, it says mitzvah saseh lashon shmira asharahi. It's a ashara. It's a warning. Halamadata, you learned shemiras mitzvah saseh ubidu shmiras mitzvah lo saseh. We also have the element of lo saseh as well that we learn out from the pasuk. So from here we see that since the main thing of the Shmira is not about the bandits and saving from the people from being robbed, rather it's because of Kvod Hashem and showing the honor, so that mitzvah should still be applicable today, because we know that the Shechina is still there. The Shechina is there by the Malkam HaMikdash. So how come we don't have right now people that are guarding the place of the Beis HaMikdash? And especially we see that we learned earlier in the Rambam that there is an actual physical part of the Beis HaMikdash, like the Aron and the Mate Aron, and then we have the Man and the Shemen HaMishcha. They were actually put into the depths under the Kodesh HaKadoshim. So if we're looking for something physical, we even have something physical. So again, why don't we currently have people guarding the area of the Beis HaMikdash? We could make a kal vachomer from the mitzvah of Yiras HaMikdash. Regarding the fearing of the Beis HaMikdash, it says clearly in the Rambam that we definitely have that mitzvah applicable nowadays, as we see that there's certain areas that it's allowed to go and certain areas that we're still not allowed to go. So the Yira of the Mikdash is a mitzvah saseh. And when it comes to Shmira, it has both elements of a mitzvah saseh and mitzvah lo saseh. So it should be kal vachomer, that it should be applicable and being kept nowadays as well. Especially the Rebbe says that one of the reasons why the Shmira is done by the Levim and the Kahanim is because they're chashuvei ha'am, and we are taking them away from their very special duties just to do the Shmira. It shows how important it is. And Aval Bikain, we don't find even in the Anhaga of Rabbi Sin and Esenu that they made a special ishtadlus to go and make sure that we guard the Makam HaMikdash. Although we see that the Rebbeim were completely involved in the Mechazek, the Yeshuvim in Eretz Yisrael, and we know how the Alter Rebbe wanted to promote giving tzedakah in Eretz Yisrael. And the Rebbe says regarding the tzedakah that even if a person didn't have money, he should still borrow to be able to give tzedakah in order to help Kehillah Chabad. But yet, nothing was made in order to do the Shmira Begashmis. Now the Rebbe quotes from the Sefer Mishkanis Avil Yaakov, that from a chassid of the Tzemach Tzedek, Rav Galbstein, and he writes over there that Taka Maskana, there is this real mitzvah of Shmira nowadays. And he actually tried to do a lot of things to put it into place. But nevertheless, that's not the common accepted opinion. And in fact, by Rav Tfutzes Yisrael, it was not the accepted opinion. And what's neged to us is the Anhaga of Rabbi Sin Nisenu, and we don't find that they did a special effort. Now, we might answer, perhaps, we can bring a raya, because maybe there was some Gdei Yisrael that did it b'chashai. Maybe they secretly guarded, the Beis HaMikdash in maybe Zmanim Misugalim, special times. Perhaps they did this. But the Rebbe refused that possible answer, and the Rebbe explains that the whole idea of Shmira is for covered, and to show how beautiful and great Beis HaMikdash is, and how we're honoring Hashem. So that cannot be done in a way of chashai. It could only be done when you have something that's revealed, bigilui. So once Taka the answer why we don't have a begashmias, the Rebbe says it is because of pikuach nefesh. Back in the days, especially with all the tzaras that Yidden had lo aleinu, there was so much. It was not a possibility to pashut guard the mikdash. It was pikuach nefesh, and we know the klal is pikuach nefesh derech kol haTorah kula. Even if it's such an important mitzvah as the shmira. And there's another klal. Kivan the itre, since we already pushed it off, so even in circumstances where the threat is not as big, we still remain with the original position that we're not going to do the shmira. At the same time, the Rebbe in the Ha'ara does write that there's a dayin tzarech. How come? We know how the Rebbeim had mises nefesh for so many things. Al Kapanim, maybe the Rebbeim should have made a special effort, perhaps, to do at certain times, like on Shabbos and Yom Tov, when a lot of people gather by the Kisel Ma'aravi and by the Feminyon, maybe they should try to include a certain Shmira. But the Rebbe continues at Adayin Tzachiyun. Now, this idea that it's Pikuach Nefesh, it's not only when you have a government that's oppressing the Yidden. Even if, let's say, there's a government that's a Machal Shal Chesed, we still have that concern. Why? Because halacha hi, Esav, son of Yaakov, it's a halacha that Esav hates Yaakov. And the Rebbe continues and tells us that this hate is inherited. It's not just Esav had it, but it gets transmitted to all of his descendants. And not only that, unfortunately, you have some of those goyim that actually are mechanech their children and giving them, the education on how to hate Yidden. So you still have, even though, let's say right now there's a potential for the Shmira to be done, it could still very quickly become a very big threat and concern. And even if it's not an actual threat from the government, the Rebbe still says that you could still have a threat from Yechidim, Rahman al-Islam, from single-handed individual that could go and cause a threat to the Yidden. So therefore,
the idea that you have to mask, maybe I think you can have Shmir because you have a mask on. Shmir with a mask.
Okay. But in the maskana, Lemaskana, we're saying that it's pikuach nefesh, and that's what it was. However, the Rebbe stresses very, very, very much that although for some reason we're not doing shmira begashmius, each and every one of us has the obligation to do shmira the way it applies beruchnius. We know, and we learned it so many times, that the pasuk says, "Ve'asuli migdash ve'sharanti be'soicham," and be'soicham lo'inema doesn't say be'soicham, it says be'soicham, to teach us that it's there's a migdash within every single one of us, and we have to have a special shmira. Now, the Rebbe goes into the details. What is that migdash? It's not just in our heart, it's also in our physical house. That our house and the room that we have, and the Rebbe mentions that the kinderlach, their room, it should be a mikdash and a mishkan LaHashem. And one of the heroes the Rebbe gives in that sicha is that the kinderlach should have a designated location in their room for a siddur, for a chumash, and also for a pushka. And in the brackets, the Rebbe says that in the Sfarim, the children should be accustomed to write LaHashem ha'aretz u'malaya, and even before writing their name, so that the children should be infused with the hair of Hashem being the one in control. Now this is this idea of making a mikdash in our private home, but it's not only limited to our private home and to the different rooms in our home, it's also in our day-to-day life. The Rebbe says that every part of our lives should be infused with halakite, and like we know, it says, Ani nivreisi l'shamesh askeni, and we have to really act in a way that our whole life is that we are dedicated to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So that's all regarding the actual Mishkan. What is the Shmira B'ruchnis of the Mishkan? So the Rebbe says, and I'm just going to quote from the Lashon that the Rebbe uses, Halten Spezialitayer. We have to cherish very much the Inyane Kedusha. And for example, the Svarim, but in general, Kedusha, Bechlal, that we should have a special Chavivus, this special Halten Tayer. Everyone could interpret it according to what they see fit. I'm just saying right now the Rebbe's words. And the Rebbe concludes by the Sikha. There's the whole part of the Sikha which is connected with the summer. But in the end, the Rebbe concludes that we should be Zeiche to what it says in Tehillim regarding HaKadosh Baruch Hu, who's Lo Yonum V'Lo Yishan Shomer Yisrael. It says that Hashem is not going to sleep nor slumber, and Hashem is called Shomer Yisrael. But when Mashiach comes, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to be Shem Yisrael, not a shmira from the listim, not a shmira from the oivim, but it's going to be a shmira likaveidan shel Yisrael, and we should be zeret to this shmira, take of miyad mamash.